And now, you're tuned in to RBLR, the home of Tampa Bay's RBLR Sports.
What's up, RBLR Nation? How's everybody doing tonight? Or today, whenever you're listening to this podcast. I hope everyone's doing well regardless. And, we are unfortunately coming at you after another Bucs loss. It's a tough one this week. That's just the nature of it. It was certainly a dichotomy of games. But before we get into all that, I'd like to introduce my excellent co-host. They certainly won't let you down in the first or the second half. Mr. Musab, introduce yourself to the people. Say what's up.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? How we doing? Happy to be here. Am I happy to talk about our Buccaneers? I got mixed feelings, to be honest. And as you said, it was, I don't know if you want to call it a roller coaster of emotions. It was more of just, that first part of the roller coaster when you're going up. And then that part of Shikra where it's like, they got you hanging. And then boom, out of nowhere, okay, you drop.
Yeah.
So that's how I'm feeling right now. But Santiago, you feeling the same way? You feeling different? Talk to me.
Indeed.
What's up, RBLR Nation, RBLR Universe, Bucs Nation? How's everyone doing? Yeah, man, I was the same way, man. When you're looking up into the heavens, when you're on Shikra, up down in here in Tampa Bay, Busch Gardens, and you're waiting. The fall's gonna come. Well, I mean, we didn't know the fall was gonna come for the game, but you know what I mean. And then all of a sudden, I was like, yes, we're winning, and then it just went, wow, 90 degrees. So, I mean, it was a tough one to swallow. I know everybody's feeling, is not happy at all with, this losing streak that we're dealing with right now. But I'm just praying that we can get out of it, of course. So I know we all are. So, let's talk about some Bucs football, man. My voice is not as happy at this moment because it's such a pain that we've lost, you know what I mean? And I know we have a good enough team and talent to get out of this.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, it's like you said, it's a tough pill to swallow. So obviously we're talking about this Bucs Bengals game. I might as well read out the score. They lost 34-23. And it was just, the tale of two halves. I mean, I think y'all called it a roller coaster. I don't know if it was a roller coaster for me. It was more of just like all right, when's this next shoe going to drop? When's the other shoe going to drop? They've played so poorly this year that it almost seems like a mirage whenever they actually do something good. It seems like it's like, okay, they're doing well, but what else? What's crappy about to happen? That's kind of how I felt. Maybe that's just me being glass half empty. But yeah, it was a really just a strong first half, like we've mentioned. It was a really, really good start, 17-3. I mean, that's pretty much, can't really ask for anything better. Clean football, everyone was getting involved. Evans had an amazing first half. He had 5 receptions for 83 yards, I think, in the first half. I think I have that stat memorized because he's on my fantasy team, and that's what he ended up with. So it's kind of depressing. That's all he got. So just a really bad second half. They turned the ball over on 4 or 5 consecutive possessions. They had a fake punt that went awry. Just brutal second half. So I mean, I guess I gotta ask to start off, like, which half do y'all think represented the Bucs? I know my answer, but I want to hear it. Maybe y'all are more optimistic. Do you think that the first half was kind of encouraging? Because the Bengals are a really good team. The Bucs should not have gotten off to a 17-3 start. The Bengals are a fantastic team. So, maybe you look at this like, oh, well, the first half went really well at least. So maybe it's a good sign moving forward. Musab, we'll start with you. How are we feeling about it? Or do you really focus on the second half as like, God, this team still sucks? How are we feeling about it?
Yeah, I'm more on the lines of the second half, Carter. And I only say that just because, I guess we really put all our effort into the first half or whatever. And maybe we put a little too much. I don't know. We just gassed ourselves out there. Everything just got thrown off. My two things are just that, first of all, I mean, the strategy needed to change as soon as they started catching up. Lot of unanswered points. And on top of that, I mean, it's all about closing, What we were known for some games in the past is, that we have our little rough and tough first half, or in the second half, Tom Brady and the boys come through. But now it's the complete opposite.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, it's tough to look for consolations or silver linings when you're losing ball games like this. Santiago, we'll toss it to you. You're Mr. Optimist. Come on, you gotta be looking at the first half as a good thing, right? Or are you leaning?
Yeah, of course, gentlemen. I look at the first half as a positive. When I saw the end of the first half, 17-3, like I'm like, wow, you know what I mean? We're gonna go 500. Let's go, baby. Let's go. Come on, Bucks. Let's do this. Let's fire them cannons. You know what I mean? Let's raise the flag. Let's show them. Let's show Joe Burrow that we have a good team and we can win. And then all of a sudden, it it was it was tough to watch. I mean, I honestly thought that it kind of reminded me, like when we were watching like the Saints game that we couldn't really do much, and then at the end we pulled it out. But then this was just way too much. It was too much of a train wreck, to be honest with you. And it was like, from, for example, it was like Tom Brady when he was getting sacked and it looks like he tossed the ball up in the air. And normally there are a lot of plays where that ball just drops on the floor. It's an incomplete pass or whatever like that. Sure. And then all of a sudden, that I don't remember what player it was from the Bengals, but he like literally he catches the ball and it was an interception. It was like it was like, what? Yeah. And then he had his, and we're like, and then Tom Brady walks off the field because he knew, and the commentator was like, yep, that's an interception. And everybody was like shocked. I'm like, what is going on here? You know what I mean? Are you serious? And then like the misread with Brady giving it to Leonard Fournette and it's the ball slipping out of his hand. And it was like, and it wasn't even raining. So I don't even know what was happening. You know what I mean? It was so tough. But yeah, I'm Mr. Optimistic in a lot of ways. And I was like, hopefully my spirit was like, I want this to get better.
Right.
And it really wasn't, and it's just like, we have to get out of this game.
Yeah, so you're also like Musab and also myself. You think that the second half is more of a...
Exactly. The second half was like more of this Bucs season right now than it was like the first half.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to disagree with that because, like we've been saying, they're 6-8. They've been losing. They lost to the Panthers, Steelers. I mean, they've been playing some horrible, horrible football. So it's really hard to dismiss that second half as just like, oh, well, it's just a fluke. They just turned the ball over 5 straight possessions. That's going to happen. Like, no, like they've been playing really, really poorly. And this time the offense, not only did they not, they didn't really score at all in the second half, but they actually hindered the team. In the past, like with those Tony Dungy teams, the offense, at least you just didn't want them to lose you any games. They weren't going to win you any games, but they're at least going to not be totally inept. But now, I mean, good Lord, 5 possessions with a turnover, a pair of interceptions by Brady. The first one was inexcusable, an awful throw. And then the fumbles. I mean, you can't have a miscommunication like that or a mishandle, whatever it was. Yeah, I mean, just brutal stuff. So, I mean, I guess the next point that I want to get to is we focused on so much on the offense, and rightfully so, but the defense, on paper, gave up 34 points. And that's kind of uncharacteristic for this defense. I mean, they're a solid squad. They've been giving up about 17 points a game. Do you think that's more of a reflection, though, on the fact that the Bucs turned the ball over and gave such great possessions? Musab, we'll start with you.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you, as you said right there. I'm piggybacking off of you right now, Carter. It comes down to the turnovers. Okay, I still have to see on both ends. I still think that there's just a lot more changes needed to be made, or there just needs to be a better approach. But on top of that, I mean, if you think about it, the D comes off, boom, turnover again. Then all right, well, now they're back on again. It happened over and over again. It becomes exhausting. It starts throwing you off, and especially when the Bengals start getting a little bit hot. Then they're getting a little bit fired up. All right, they're getting a bunch of these unanswered points, and now it becomes more of a mental game as well as a physical game, and they just got the best to us. Honestly, it's a 2-part kind of effort when it comes to winning these games, offense and defense, and I don't know. I mean, the offense was just looking atrocious to me. Sure, if you look at the stat sheet or whatever, it doesn't look as bad or whatever, and you're thinking, oh wow, well, it looks somewhat similar-ish, but no, we did what we had to do in the first half, but I don't know where the second half happened, and we got thrown off. The defense got exhausted. The chemistry started falling apart, and this is also the Bengals who were in the finals last year, so it's not like they're just a completely horrible team. I mean, we were really looking to put up a dogfight with them. We sort of kind of did at one point, but then it all went downhill.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, like you mentioned, it's difficult to play defense when you're having to come off and on the field so rapidly, it seems like. I mean, the Bengals only scored 10 points not off of a turnover. They scored 24 points, the majority of their points off of turnovers from this Bucs offense. So, yeah, I'm right there with you, Musab. Santiago, how about you? Do you still put a little more blame on the defense? Because, they still did give up 34 points. That's a lot of points in the NFL. It shouldn't be that easy to score, but like we said, the turnovers were awful. How are you feeling about it, though?
I give a blame to both. Why do I give a blame to both? Because one, we shouldn't have had that many, two fumbles and then maybe one interception. I mean, obviously you don't want any interceptions, but there were two interceptions, right? One because, like I said, it was like a flop. It was like a flop pass, and then all of a sudden, yeah, you're right. We cannot allow in our own stadium much more, 34 points against us. It's just unbelievable. It's crazy. And it's unbelievable how, we have so many players that are, and it's not just us, it's around the league. It's just there's so many more injuries this year. I noticed that it's crazy. So, and then the coaching staff, man, I don't know. It's just turmoil right now. I mean, and we're 6-8 right now. We're still first place when I see the standings. We're first place. And, if we can just win out these last remaining games, we're in the playoffs. So, I just want us to win. Please, Bucs Nation, let's win. Let's do something, please.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
it's not just Tom Brady. It's a team effort. This is a team sport. Everybody has to do their thing. And then when I'm sorry to interrupt you, Carter. And then also when there's when there are these fouls and face masks and everything like that and carelessness, and it's just, come on, man. And, it's so frustrating. It's like when Donovan Smith, when they call holding on, on, I forgot which player it was. Yeah, it was another type of. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, for sure.
It was and it's just, it's a drag. It's been a drag. It's been a drag. And
well, I have a question to piggyback off of you right now, Santiago, and that is, you're saying it's a drag. Guys, I mean, just a real quick hot take. How comfortable do we feel with the rest of the schedule? We got the 4-10 Cardinals, and then the Panthers and the Falcons. So, I mean, are we just quickly? I mean, are we thinking it's going to get better from here? Or are we're still really, really concerned?
Yeah, I'd be still really concerned about those last two games. It's definitely tough. We'll get more into the Bucs Cardinals matchup specifically in a little bit, but yeah, I mean, those are two divisional games, and those divisional matchups are never easy. But yeah, I mean, like you mentioned, they're still on top of the division, so these last three games are really, really important. Do y'all like Musab mentioned? How are we feeling about these last three games? Do we feel like they can still take home the division? That's the big thing, So Santiago, will start. You think that they can still win this division with these last three remaining games?
Yeah, I honestly believe we have way more talent than these three teams. So I still feel in my heart, because it's amazing how, I saw your predictions, gentlemen, this past week, and you guys all said loss. And I tweeted a win. And I will feel bad, just me personally, in my heart, if I say I believe they're going to lose, because I know that we have the talent that we can pull it off. So I honestly believe with these remaining games, I believe they're going to be victories. That's just me. So, let's go Bucs, baby. Let's raise that flag.
For sure. Musab, how about you? I know you posed the question, but, definitely still got to hear what you're feeling. You think that they can finish out the season strong and win the division, or how are we feeling about the remaining schedule?
It's important we do, but I would be surprised if things happen. That's really about it. You know, I'm concerned as you are, Carter, and as optimistic I want to be. We have to kind of take it game by game right now. There's a lot of things to think about. With this game and every other past game we've had, there's just too many dinks and doinks going around game by game, and they're oddly different game by game as well. So that's really about it for me as to my kind of simple futuristic lens, the way I see the Buccaneers.
For sure. Yeah. So, I mean, we've been talking about them winning the division. So, I mean, there's been a lot of questions about Todd Bowles' job security and all that stuff. And, look, we all seem to be in agreement that they still have the tools and the talent. And, just the other teams are so god awful that they're still probably going to win this division. And, Todd Bowles' job security has been a big, big question moving forward. So what do y'all think? Do y'all think that Todd Bowles keeps his gig? You think they keep him as a head coach just because they win the division? Or do you think, pretty much, unless they perform really well in the playoffs, this guy's still probably on his way out of here? Santiago, we'll start with you this time.
I honestly believe, gentlemen, that, if we can win the division, okay, and we're in the playoffs, because to me, honestly, in sports in here, playoffs is a different type of animal.
For sure.
And anything can happen.
Right.
So at this moment, I still believe that his job is, it's not good. He's done a very poor job. And I don't think that as a coach, I would like him back next year. And why? Because I want a coach like last year, like BA, when he took us to Super Bowl, we had that confidence of winning every single game. And there was no mishaps and everything like that. And it's just like, and every time I see Twitter and everything like that, just people like, please fire Byron Leftwich, fire, Todd Bowles and everything like that. And it's very tough. And, if a change has to happen, then let a change be.
For sure. So I guess a follow-up question for you is, what type of playoff performance would push you to say, all right, maybe let's give him another year? Like, would it not
win the Super Bowl?
Wow. Win the Super Bowl or bust, or he's out of there. Okay. So even if he makes it to the NFC Championship game and they peter out, wow.
Win the Super Bowl. He has to win this. Hey. In my eyes, because this has been such a turmoil, like, to get to the Lombardi and win it, okay, I mean, that's pretty much it,
Wow. Okay. Hey, I dig it. That's harsh, but I dig it. I dig the reality because, like you said, this season has been so tumultuous, just so terrible, so up and down that it's hard to justify how poorly they've played this regular season. All right. Hey, fair enough. I dig it, Santiago. Musab, how about you? Are you a little more lenient towards Todd Bowles? How are we feeling about him? Like, just kind of, you want him on his way out no matter what, or how are we feeling about him?
I feel like that's the more of the kind of easy. That was the quick decision in my head when I was watching, all these games. I'm like, oh my God, come on, man, what is going on? You got Bowles as head coach instead of Arians, and this is what's happening. The issue is that, with Bowles as head coach and looking at our team, we are too talented of a roster to go 6-8 right now. Okay.
Right.
Even though, the defensive side isn't really the problem, as a head coach, you are responsible for the offensive struggles. Okay. One side of me also thinks that, this is something this team or the coaching staff, Todd Bowles inherited. It's not like he's really kind of, picking out the best, kind of guys of his own or whatever. It was already just, hey, listen, we're just kind of just promoting you. You're already in the system. Everyone else is in the system. You're just going to be leading now all these guys in the system. Okay, aka the coaching staff. But for me, the only thing, and Santiago, I hate to play devil's advocate, but I don't know. I don't know about the whole Lombardi Trophy thing, man. Honestly, as beautiful as it would be, the issue is that I find is that we're just playing a little conservative, and maybe this is just something that is typical of someone who's coming from a defensive, head coach kind of job. All right, defensive coordinator. It's just, I just feel like we're easy to read. All right, especially being that we're already up in this game, and then we start showing these struggles, the turnovers start kicking in the second half. I think we're just easy to read. We're playing a little conservative. The run game is not looking as anyone has been expecting. I mean, it's not like their run game was special either, but still, it's the Buccaneers, all right? I know we don't have, Ronald Jones, but, we see what White can do, and we know playoff Lenny, regular season Lenny. So
For sure.
someone's got to be, responsible for the offensive struggles. I don't want to say, let's just fire Bowles, but there's a lot of internal changes need to be made. There's a lot of reflection within, the office that needs to be done.
For sure.
And that's kind of just the way I see it, and maybe I'll be a little bit more aggressive as these next 3 games happen. Maybe I'll sag off a little bit, but see how each game takes us.
I get you. So I guess my main question, how I really should have phrased it, because you mentioned being a little more lenient or being a little, it's still a lot of season left. There's still 3 games left. What do you have to see in the playoffs? Because Santiago said, Super Bowl or you're out of here, and that's man, that's harsh. But hey, that's reality. Hey, I don't blame him. It's been an awful season. So like, so what Musab, what do you want to see from the Bucs in the playoffs to say, okay, maybe Bowles sticks around for another year at least?
I'm going to be honest with you guys. I pray to God that the O-line steps it up. Honestly, we're hurt. We're beat down. There's too much pressure coming at Tom Brady, and it's a domino effect, all right? Once one thing falls apart, once one thing starts looking ugly, things don't start working right, and everything else goes downhill, and that's where all these turnovers start kicking in, and this is how the defense gets exhausted, and that's why our Buccaneers have been losing.
For sure, yeah. So I mean, it's not Bowles' fault. You think maybe like he'll come back next year no matter what? You're saying?
I think so. I don't want to say, no matter what, but
Okay. No,
I think so. Yeah. I mean, there's not like a really, as of right now, there's not a really like good reason to get rid of this guy. All right.
Fair enough.
Let's see what can happen. All right. We still got 3 more games, and there's many more problems than just Bowles. All right. I think he is responsible for, running this whole organization, or, these players and how they're, the strategies and all that. But, there's other influences in this game. There's other influences on this team. So it's not like he's like some dictator, and every single thing that comes out of his mouth, that's exactly how they're following it.
I get you. No, I feel you. They're definitely the problems are much more deep than just the head coach. And it would certainly be kind of a band-aid solution, just replacing him willy-nilly and just filling him up, filling the vacancy with another guy. But I also see Santiago's perspective is a really talented team, and the fact that they've performed so poorly, combined with his previous awful head coaching experience as the Jets head coach, it warrants maybe saying, all right, maybe this guy's just not cut out to be anything more than a defensive coordinator, which he's a very good one. So, there's certainly nothing wrong with that. But, regardless of what happens with Todd Bowles, I think what people really need to start focusing on is the RBLR store. You just got some sick threads. They're not going to go 6-8 on you. They're going to go 17-0, go all the way to the Super Bowl, break the Dolphins' undefeated record. That's how good our threads are. So, if you were looking for Bucks, Lightning, Rowdy, Rays, whatever it is, we got you covered. And, we do this every week, but I still get hype every time. Santiago, give the people what they want. Tell them that promo code. Let's give them what they want.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, it's Cannon, CANNONS, 10% off your whole order. Go there, get something. It's the holiday season, but if you don't just get something on the holidays, you can get something all year round. And exactly, I agree with what Mr. Carter Brantley just said. Let's, look fresh, look fly.
Let's
right. Go Bucks, baby. Let's go RBLR Nation. Let's do this.
I mean, shoot, maybe if more people were rocking those fresh RBLR threads,
shop. Exactly. You go to shop.rblrsports.com. You know what I mean?
That's right. Link in the description.
Follow us all over social media. Do it. Let's go.
Heck yeah, for sure. But moving on to the Bucs, back to the Bucs, unfortunately. So this weekend they take on the Cardinals, taking a little bit closer view of it instead of the broad perspective that we were just discussing about Todd Bowles. So the Cardinals, I mean, like we've mentioned, the Cardinals are an awful, awful team. They're certainly not doing too well this season. And on top of all of their struggles, Kyler Murray's out. He is done for the year. And Colt McCoy is out this week. So they are on their third string quarterback, and it is no one else but Tracy McSorley. If you haven't heard of him, I don't blame you. He's not great. He's been bounced around the league. He was with the Ravens. I think that's the only playing time that he's gotten was with Baltimore. But they're 4-10 for a reason, and they're dealing with their third string quarterback. To me, it sounds like a recipe for the Bucs to lose, but we'll get into predictions to near the end. So that's kind of where we got to start with this quarterback. How do the Bucs take advantage of the fact that they're dealing with Tracy McSorley, someone who is likely a career backup at best? Musab, we'll start with you. How do they deal? How do they take advantage of this? I don't want to say opportunity because you never want to see guys go down, but how do they take advantage of this?
I think it's more of an opportunity for our opponents because honestly, these backup quarterbacks have been scaring me. All right. Especially these games where it's expecting that, we're just going to run over them. All right. The top two of my head is when Trevor Siemian ran over us, or not even run over us, but I mean, he beat us and that threw me off. And then even with this last one with Brock Purdy, I don't know, what's the whole 4-1-1 on McSorley. And, this is maybe what's the Buccaneers' weakness, unfortunately, is that we don't have much tape on these kind of guys as we do on Kyler Murray. But on the real, though, I mean, one side is, trying to be a little bit more kind of realistic. I mean, as I've mentioned before, the offensive struggles are there, but the defensive struggles aren't as prominent. It's not like they're perfect, but it's all just about pressure, okay? But on top of that, I mean, we can't be exhausting these guys like we were this last game. I think I have to say, guys, I think the defense showed many moments of, who they are and, they came through. But the thing is, I mean, how many times can you keep running on these guys over and over and over again? Okay. So we just got to be extra aggressive. There's definitely needs to be some like big changes. I don't know. All right. I'm hoping that, the Buccaneers office, the coaching staff, the players are thinking, how are we going to take advantage of this opportunity? It really comes down to them. The ball's in their court. I think we know what we need to do. It's not like we're still trying to puzzle the pieces. The thing what happens is that we have the puzzled piece together, but then some pieces just fall apart for some reason, and then we're putting the wrong piece back together, and then it screws everything apart. Honestly, so it all comes down to, I mean, I don't want to make it sound like as simple as it is, but it all comes down to knowing what we need to do, especially on the defensive side, and taking advantage of this. As long as the offense is mediocre and, taking the ball down and getting as many as points as they need to, I'm just looking for the win, honestly. I'm not even that's all I'm looking for at this point. I'm not, try to be too nitpicky on as to how perfect and how, how much we're really, we're back and we're, fired up and all that. It's just about getting these wins in, making it to the playoffs and seeing from there right now.
For sure. Yeah, I'm with you. It seems to be their kryptonite is these backup quarterbacks, like you said at the beginning. It's Brock Purdy, Jacoby Brissett, Mitch Trubisky. I mean, PJ Walker. It's just the list of quarterbacks that they've managed to lose to is kind of ridiculous. So it's tough to look at this matchup and say, oh, it's a gimme game. The Cardinals, they're 4-10. I mean, they're not looking too hot. They're on their third string. I mean, like you said, it's maybe it's the lack of tape. I don't know what it is, but it's definitely really, really going to be, I think, a lot harder than we think. Santiago, how about you? How do we take it? How do the Bucs take advantage of the fact that this is a third string quarterback already on a 4-10 team? How do they take advantage?
How do they take advantage? We're playing in their own stadium. We're playing in Arizona, right? And we have to focus. We have to, put some extra, make sure the hands are not sweaty and stuff like that. That, the ball's not going to come off. We're going to be playing in the desert. It is dry over there. It's going to be, obviously it's going to be chilly in the whole country. There's a cold front coming in, so I'm not sure how the weather is going to be over there in Arizona. But my point is that, you know, we have to, put McSorley on his back. You know what I'm saying? We have to do that. We have to intercept them. We have to cause havoc. He's a third string quarterback for a reason. We have to, Tom Brady has to, be more focused and not fumble the ball. He has to, I want us to, when we have the ball as an offense, man, I want us to go down the field. I want us to, create more first downs. That's really what I want us to do. It's so frustrating. And I know we've talked about it plenty in this episode, gentlemen, of how frustrated it was, losing this past week and this whole season, losing to Mr. Trubisky. And this is a 6th round pick, similar to Tom Brady. This guy was picked 197 in the draft, and Tom Brady was picked 199. I'm not saying he's going to be the next Tom Brady because he's 2 picks ahead of Brady, you know what I mean? But it's the fact that, we have to make sure that we dominate. That's what we have to do. We have to dominate. We have to play Bucs ball. We have to intercept. And, Mike Evans is going to do everything he can to run down the field, get open. We have to have Chris Godwin as well as, get down the field and get open and hopefully our O-line doesn't cause any havoc and in causing really pointless penalties. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the whole throwing a touchdown to Mike Evans and then having to get called back because of a Donovan Smith hold is discouraging.
Exactly.
But I really liked what you said about getting some pressure on McSorley. But also another key thing I think to watch is that, keeping him in the pocket because he's a mobile guy. He likes to run around quite a bit. That's kind of what he was known for at Penn State. But an interesting thing is that Trace McSorley and Chris Godwin were teammates at Penn State. So there's a bit of familiarity there. Maybe Chris Godwin can finally bring some clarity. Just kind of tell his defensive teammates how he plays, because Lord knows they could use it. Like we've been talking about, the Bucs have lost to some pretty weird quarterbacks. The Cardinals are 4-10. They've got this third string quarterback, but like we've been saying, they've lost to worse teams. They've lost to the Panthers and the Steelers. So how do they avoid playing down to their competition? Does it come down to coaching? Does it come down to execution? It seems like both is just lacking this season. So how do you think that the Bucs kind of rein in and focus? You think it starts in practice? You think it starts pregame? How are we feeling about the Bucs just trying to actually play to their level of talent instead of playing down? Musab, we'll start with you.
For me, it's just looking. Honestly, it's just looking at the lineup we have right now and just changing it up a little bit. I think game by game. As of right now, if things aren't working, we just need to keep on trying. It's all about trial and error right now. I don't know. It's a good question, really. I don't think there's a really big thing other than just kind of being more aggressive. And as I already mentioned before, I just think that we're a little bit easy to read, and that's how all these turnovers kind of kicked in. And for that reason, it's just approach. I don't know. We're having some changes. With kind of guys being on the questionable side, maybe someone popping in or there, here and there. But I don't know. There are bigger things than just 1 or 2 players. I think it helps a lot, but I don't know. Every single loss is different. It's kind of really hard to just really pinpoint some certain things and really say, hey, this is my really big problem, other than the fact that, we're just kind of banged up, especially on the offensive side, especially on the offensive line side. So that's really about it for me, just kind of trying to find strategies that if we're going to get all this pressure, we're going to be looking off, we're going to, continue to kind of get beat up as time goes on in each game. What are we going to do about it?
For sure. Yeah. I mean, I really dug that you brought up the fact that each loss has been different because it feels like there's a different problem every week. I mean, sometimes it's turnovers. Sometimes it's a lack of aggressiveness. Sometimes they're trying to do too much. I mean, that fake punt last week was really, really weird. I mean, it was just a very odd play call, being up 17-3 and calling a fake punt. I mean, it's just yeah, it's mind-boggling, really. But yeah, how about you, Santiago? You think it comes down to more execution or the play calling? How do the Bucs avoid playing down to their competition?
Yeah, we have to execute, man. We have to execute more. How do we execute? We can't turn the ball over. We have to be, first downs. Our wide receivers have to dominate their secondary, their cornerbacks, their safeties. They have, we have, it seems like, we have to protect Brady more. Brady's not a mobile quarterback. He can't even get out of the pocket. He's not that quick, and, yeah, McSorley, like you were saying earlier, Carter, that, he is nowadays, and it's been like that. He's a mobile quarterback. A lot of these young quarterbacks, they like to get out of the pocket easily. They like to make plays happen. It's not with their arm, it's with their feet. And Brady is not that. Again, we have to dominate. That's pretty much what we got to do. That's what we have to do. I'm just really, really, I want even on the coaches' faces, like Todd Bowles, like sometimes he's on the sideline when they're zooming in on him, and all of a sudden it's just like he's having a miscommunication with Brady or something like that. It's just like, it's not, there's a lot going on, and we have to fix that. And I would love for this game, to be honest with you, to be that stepping stone on a positive, for us to win this game and then go and win our last two games against our division rivals.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, definitely going to be tough having to watch them, try not to play down in their competition, because it seems like that's one of their favorite things to do. But some good news came through. Tristan Wirfs is back at practice. And another big thing, Tristan Wirfs is elected to the 2023 Pro Bowl. He's the only Bucs member elected, and rightfully so, because they have not been playing well. Obviously, once the Super Bowl happens and injuries happen, there will be replacements. But for now, Tristan Wirfs is the only elected Bucs player to the Pro Bowl, and hopefully he will be able to see him back in action this weekend. How does Tristan Wirfs impact this Bucs team this Sunday specifically, but also moving forward? Just him returning to the playing field. We've talked so much about how the offensive line struggles have been impacting this offense, because it was already a struggling offense to begin with Tristan Wirfs. So without him, it just got even worse. Musab, we'll start with you. How does Tristan Wirfs' how does his return impact this offense coming forward?
Well, I've seen sometimes when the backups hop on in and, the O-line, takes a little dent. So the fact that he's coming back and this is a Pro Bowl that we're talking about, it's going to help us for sure. Now if he's coming back, how do I have certain expectations? I don't. I mean, I just hope that, he's able to help us out more than anything. And I just hope that we don't get demolished or something, really. I hope that he's able to help us out. He's got the experience now as well. He's a young guy, but he's got the experience. And we just got to bring some firepower, honestly. I'm hoping and just praying that, he's ready to kind of, put in the work and everything, and hoping that it helps. So that's really about it for me.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, we'll kick it to Santiago as well. It's definitely going to be nice to see a guy, coming off of an injury that just got elected to the Pro Bowl. So how do you think that Tristan Wirfs can kind of impact this team moving forward?
Yeah, it's an honor to go play in the Pro Bowl, right? I mean, you're one of the best players in the league. That's a true honor, and to have a Bucs player, continuously at the Pro Bowl, representing our organization, and he's a huge piece of our offensive line. He's a veteran. He's a Super Bowl champion, and I'm super stoked that he's back, and that he's gonna give us, he's gonna help us, and let's get some sacks, man. Let's get some sacks. Let's cause some ruckus. Let's play some Bucs ball. Let's get to the quarterback. Let's do that, man.
Right, for sure. Yeah, I mean, hopefully Tristan Wirfs can prevent the Cardinals from doing that same thing to the Bucs, and hopefully the Bucs defensive line can kind of ramp things up. Also, in other offensive line news, Donovan Smith did not practice today or Wednesday afternoon, and he's been struggling mightily. He's dealing with a foot injury. So I hate to say this, but I mean, let's say best case scenario, Wirfs comes back. Do the Bucs just bench Donovan Smith? That they can say, "Hey, get right. He seems to be dealing with some stuff. Just get right. Let's bring in Wells, move him across the offensive line, put him at left tackles, put Josh Wells at left tackle, and Wirfs at the right tackle." Do you think that'll help, Musab? We'll start with you. How are we feeling about the proposition or the idea of just putting Wells in Smith's spot and letting Wirfs get the start, assuming that he's able to go?
Oh man, honestly, Donovan Smith has come through, and looking at the kind of situation right now, I'm a little 50-50. To be on the safe side, I'm leaning more towards Wells. Not that he's been anything special or he has any kind of special gem. It's just more the fact that, listen, we just got to make the best out of it right now. It's tough just looking at our O-line for me, honestly, and the fact that, Wirfs is coming on back, that does boost my mood a little bit. But then again, looking at a situation like this where Donovan Smith is, not coming in on practice and stuff like that, we're still kind of waiting on, what's the kind of final game time decision. Again, it's raising my eyebrows. So, I don't know. Yeah, I say we go with the approach, and hopefully we just kind of work some things out. I don't know. Maybe it's not going to be a hot start, but it's all about the finish. We were lacking that this last game, but I'm hoping that we give it our all, especially towards the end of the game.
Right, for sure. So I mean, I'm kind of with you. It might be better if the Bucs just give him a week off, because he's been struggling so mightily with not only just regular blocks, but also not turnovers, penalties. He's been giving up a lot of holds in some really tough situations. I know we've kind of harped on it. The Evans touchdown that was called back because of a hold, and it was by Donovan Smith. So it's been brutal. Santiago, how about you? You think maybe going with Wells might be kind of a reset for Donovan Smith, and you think that might do him some good, assuming Wirfs can go?
I don't want Donovan Smith to play, man. Like, it's just that, because it's, that game in San Francisco, that touchdown that was called back because of that penalty that he had. I mean, it's been like that multiple times this season in different games that he's cost us touchdowns. Like, in against New Orleans, even though he won that game in dramatic fashion at the end of the game, it was a touchdown. Boom, he holding. Donovan Smith 76. It's come on. You have to get technique. Don't grab the guy literally by the shoulder pads. You cannot do that. You can't bear hug the guy. You can, just push him forward with your hands. They have to work on that at practice. And you're right. He hasn't, like you're saying, he hasn't been practicing. So, no, I want him to be on the bench. I'd rather have Josh Wells play and then also Tristan Wirfs, come in and do the job. That's what I want.
All right. Hey, fair enough. I'm with you. I think we're all in agreement. It would be best to just see Josh Wells out there and give Donovan Smith a week to, rest that foot, maybe get his head straight. And, maybe he returns better than he was before. I mean, he can't really get any worse, to be quite honest. So, it would be nice to see that. Just give him a week to, especially because the Cardinals' defensive line, I mean, it's J.J. Watt, and he's pretty good, but, their pass rush isn't exactly great. I mean, they got Marcus Golden and, God knows who else. It's just kind of a tough team defensively, especially that front seven. So yeah, I'm with y'all. I think it would do him some good to just kind of take a week off, clear his head, give that foot a rest. But we've kind of talked about it enough. This Bucs Cardinals game, it's going to be interesting. There's kind of a lot at stake here. So we'll get into some score predictions. Musab, we'll start with you. What do you think the final score will be? Who's going to win? What you thinking?
I don't think it's going to be easy for us just because, they got McSorley in that quarterback, okay? Especially looking at the situation right now. And on top of that, I mean, we still have a lot of work to do. I don't care how much we're kind of firing on off, but, if we're not closing properly, we're letting these guys catch up, then it's looking concerning. So for me, based on what's been going on right now, I'm leaning towards a Buccaneers win, and I'm going something on, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to say this. I'm going at 24-17 Buccaneers win.
Wow. Okay. 24-17.
Yeah. I think we come through, or we run with the lead. Maybe perhaps they kind of catch up. But the thing is, what I'm looking for more than anything is less unanswered points. And I think more importantly, Brady's going to find a way. The defense is going to find a way, and we're going to come up with the win.
Okay. Hey, I like the optimism. And I'm with you. Those runs. I mean, you see it in basketball all the time. I mean, just unanswered points, like you said, just letting another team build momentum, go on a run. That's just inexcusable, and you can't let it happen, especially like they did against an amazing team like the Bengals. But Santiago, how about you? How are you feeling? You're Mr. Optimism, so you got to be with Musab, right? You're predicting a
Yeah,
win.
of course, man. Of course, I gotta predict a win, man. Tampa Bay Buccaneers are gonna win. We're gonna win 27. We're gonna win 27-17.
Wow, okay. 27-17. I dig it. Yeah, I mean, it's important to note the Arizona Cardinals have the worst scoring defense in the NFL. You know, they're giving up 26 points a game. So, yeah, I'm with y'all. I think the Bucs are going to win. And, this Cardinals defense looks rough. I think this might be a game where the Bucs offense can finally shine a little bit, whatever their version of shine is. I think that they'll win this game 21-10. But, who knows with the Bucs? It's not a super confident pick. They seem to be proving people wrong all over the place. They'll come out and just play like crap. So, we'll see. I'm cautiously optimistic for a win. But what I'm not cautiously optimistic about, I'm super optimistic about the people that have stuck around for this show. Thank you all so much for sticking with us. Thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in. If you wouldn't mind hitting that like or subscribe button, it's free. Wherever you're listening, YouTube, Spotify, wherever that may be. Also follow us on social media, RBLR Sports. We're all over the place, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, wherever you can think to find us. Thank you again so much for listening. And thank you to my co-host for being awesome as usual. And as always, go Bucs.
Go Bucs.
Go Bucs.
Thank you for tuning into this presentation by RBLR Sports. On your way out of the stadium, please remember to like and subscribe.